Hi, everybody. So today we're going to be going over the MBTI results and what they mean. I know you should have completed the MBTI, either the real version, which was $50, or the, I guess, not real version, which still gives a pretty good result, which was free. Either way, you get a printout with your results, and it gives you a four-letter code. So I'm going to go over what those letters mean, and and then we're going to talk a little bit about how that applies to what career you should go into, okay? Or even what major you want to major in. So the first letter is of your code is going to be either an E or an I, and this stands for extroverted versus introverted. So extroverted means that you're more outgoing and that you get your energy from being with other people. So you're always looking to other people for, I guess, support. And you kind of feel not so great alone. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't like to be alone, you'd rather always be with other people. It's probably because you're getting your energy from those other people and it's firing you up and you want to just keep that going. And that's what extroversion is about. They like to know what other people expect of them as well so they can do that thing. They also like to observe other people, see how they do things, and then kind of jump in and do it the same way. And they like to talk, like they love having conversations. So that's extroverts. Introverts, on the other hand, are people who like kind of having their time to themselves. They get their energy from being alone. So if they go to a party, instead of getting more energized, they're going to get more drained. And by the end of the night, they're going to be like, oh, I just need to be alone. And then they'll be alone and recharge their battery and back to, dealing with other people. So it's really not that an introvert can't go be dealing with other people or an extrovert can't spend time alone. It's just more of like a preference or what they prefer, what is more comfortable. And so I would say like an extrovert would want to take a job where they're working with a lot of people, whereas an introvert might want to take a job where they get to work by themselves more and have more, I guess, leeway in doing things their own way. I would say introverts prefer to do things their own way and create their own situations. So they may be slow to try something that they've never done before, unless it kind of makes sense to them and they've kind of thought it out how they'll do it. But I would say introvert would probably like, watch a video or read a book or something like that on how to do something and then go to do it. Whereas extroverts are just going to look to other people, see how they do it, and then kind of copy that, if that makes sense. So it's like a little bit of a different approach. I would say introverts are probably thinking a lot more than they're talking. So even if they're around other people, they might just be more observing. And when they do say something, it's because they've thought it through and they think it's a good idea to say it. Okay, so that's E versus I, and I think you guys can figure out which one I am. I'm definitely an E, definitely an extrovert, but I kind of do get my energy from being alone as well. I think I'm kind of more towards the middle between extroversion because it's kind of like a spectrum, or yeah. So on the spectrum, it's like on one side you have extreme extroversion, the other side you have extreme introversion. I'm like probably like here somewhere. So I'm kind of close to being introvert, but I'm not an introvert. I feel like if I'm alone for too long, I will start to really, I really need to talk to other people. I need to talk a lot. I like to talk, as you guys know, I'm sure. So next we've got sensing versus intuition. And the letters are a little weird on this one. So S is for sensing, but N is for intuition because we've already used the I with introvert. So for intuition, we're going to have to skip the I and just use the N. So if you got the N, that means intuition. So I had a real struggle trying to understand these two concepts when I first was learning about the MBTI. And so I want to make sure I'm explaining these like really good. So sensing means that you use your body's senses to observe the world. So you're using your eyes, your ears, your taste buds, your skin to feel things. You're basically using your body's senses to take in information and make decisions about how you're going to, do things in the world. And I think this is just like, the information processing, okay? So you're processing information via your senses. And basically, they're gonna look at, I'm sorry, I'm like looking at my notes. I can't read my handwriting here. So, okay, sensing people like doing the same stuff over and over again. So they're the kind of people who can work at the bank doing the same job over and over and over for 20 years, and they're good with that. Um, yeah. And they enjoy using the skills that they've already learned more than learning new skills. So, I mean, that's cool, I guess. And they're patient with details, but when it comes to really complicated situations, they don't like that. So they're like, okay, if there's a lot of details I got to deal with, that's fine. But I don't like when there's a lot of complications going on that I'm not expecting or I'm not ready for. Okay. So the intuitive, or the opposite of sensing, is instead of using your senses, you're using like your gut instincts to take information in and process it, which is different, right? So I would say these people are paying more attention to how things fit together in the big picture. There's my cute cat. That's Noelle. Okay, so, and then they like to solve new problems and get kind of bored if it's always the same. And I remember, like, I'm definitely an intuitive person. And I was saying to, just about everybody that would listen, that I wanted to find a job where I could do different stuff all the time. Like, I never wanted things to be exactly the same because the same is boring. And then I read this and I was like, oh my God, they've got me pegged. They know me. I would say that intuitive people like learning new skills and using those skills more than practicing old ones. So you might see like intuitive people learn, like going to school for one thing and getting a degree in that and being like, okay, I'll do that for a little while. Okay, I'm bored. Let me get a new degree and I'm going to go do this. So whereas you might see a sensing person in the same job for 30 years because they like just doing that same thing over and over. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Thinking versus feeling. And this is how, you're, I guess, processing your thoughts and making your decisions. So when you're making choices, either you're thinking through things like a thinking person. So they like to decide things logically and they'll think things through like on multiple levels about like, okay, well, maybe if I do this, then this might happen and then this might happen and then that might happen and that might lead to this. But if I go back here and I do this, then this might happen and then this might happen. So they kind of think through every possibility that exists on this planet. And it's because they think that if they think everything through, then that will help them to eliminate anything that wouldn't work. And then they'll be left with just the right decisions and hopefully just the right decision. And it'll be logical that they came to that choice. And that will give them the ability to make the decision. They may not notice when what they're doing is pissing other people off or annoying other people. So they're just not as in tune with other people's emotions as maybe other people are. And they might give more attention to ideas and things or what they're thinking about than the people around them. And that can be very frustrating for the people around them, but they won't notice because they're in their own little world where they're thinking about stuff. But it's okay because they don't need harmony to be happy. Like they can just keep doing their thing without even worrying about what other people are doing. Okay, so then our last one is judgment versus perception. And that's like your lifestyle, like how you live your life. And so judgment people like to have a plan. They like to have things settled and decided in advance. So we're looking at somebody who has a set schedule probably every single day that they're doing stuff. Like on Mondays I do this, on Tuesdays I do that. And they probably have a lot of structure built into each day. Like this is my morning routine, this is my afternoon routine, and this is my evening routine. And they might even plan out their fun or their vacations, like like I've been on vacations with judgment people and wow, they pack a lot of stuff into a very small amount of time. And a vacation is not really a vacation. It's more like, we're going to, like a bunch of doing stuff. Whereas like, I'm a perceptive person, which is the opposite of this. If I go on vacation, I don't make any plans at all. I just go and like whatever I feel like doing, I do that while I'm there. And I probably drive a judgment person insane on a vacation. So judgmental people and they're not judgmental people, they're judgment people. So judgment people like to finish one project before they start something else. So they'll do their one thing and then move on to the next thing. They usually have their mind made up about situations and people really quick. And they don't really care if they're right or wrong. It's like they've thought about it and they made their choice and now they're going to stick with it. So they want to be right in forming their opinions and making their decisions. And I think they will defend their thought process, really passionately, because they have a hard time like admitting that maybe they made a wrong judgment. And then they live their lives by standards and schedules that are not easily changed. So if a wrench goes into their plans, it really, really, really screws them up and upsets them. It causes them distress. The other one is perception. So perception people, that's what I am, like to stay flexible and avoid plans. Although I just want to say, because I have a growth mindset, a long time ago, I made some changes to my life to put more structure into it because my lack of structure was causing me problems. Okay. So like sometimes not having anything planned is bad because you have shit to do. Excuse my language, but sometimes I do, guys. Okay. So next we have deals with unplanned and unexpected happenings very well. So yeah, I'm good at that. So if something isn't like I thought it was going to be, I can adapt really easily. If my schedule changes, no problem. I like to adapt. It's fun. This one kind of hits home. Likes to start many projects, but may have trouble finishing them. Yeah. So right now I'm working on 4 books and yeah, none of them are done. I started them all in January. I would say it usually takes me a year to finish a book because I'm usually trying to finish like 4 books at once. So they may decide things too slowly. Oh my God, this is so me. Oh, I'm so bad at making decisions, especially big decisions, because I don't really have like a logical thought process. It's just kind of like how do I feel about it? And if I'm confused, sometimes I could just remain confused for a long time. When I start doing research on something because I'm not sure what decision to make, that could go on for a long time before I finally do make a choice. And usually I don't make the choice unless I'm forced to by something. But like I said, because I have such a growth mindset, I've worked on making decisions a little more efficiently. Wants to miss nothing before forming opinions or making decisions. That's true. I do tend to, I do make a snap decision or judgment about people when I first meet them, but the difference between me and a judgment type of person is that I'm going to wait and see how you act and then see if that actually fits in with what I think or what I feel about you. And if I'm wrong, then I'm cool with changing my stance. And yeah, I've been wrong about people sometimes, but usually I'm not too wrong. I may be off about little things, but according to the real personality, I usually have a pretty good grip on who somebody is just by kind of interacting with them a little bit. Next, we got loves to make changes or deal with problems as they come along. That is so true about me. I just absolutely don't mind solving problems on the fly. Things are thrown in my face that I'm not ready for. I will somehow find a way to be ready. And that's kind of cool. All right, so those are the 4 different, dimensions of the MBTI, or it's the Myers-Briggs type inventory. And yeah, it's just a personality test. And you know what? I wouldn't say it's 100% accurate, but it's a pretty good indicator of your personality type. And the reason why we're taking this is because it's going to help shed some light on what careers might be best for you based on your personality type. So what I would like to go over really quick is just how the true colors relates to this, because I did have you take that true colors inventory. I don't know how many people were actually able to complete that. I did have some people tell me that it wasn't working properly because they're updating the test. Okay, so let me explain to you a little bit about true colors. It's basically 4 dimensions. So it's orange, gold, green, and blue. Okay, so basically what it is MBTI has 16 different letter combinations. And what the True Colors test did is it literally took the same dimensions that are measured in the MBTI and simplified it into a shorter list of questions that measured, instead of 16, only 4 dimensions. So basically, that's a lot easier to actually conceptualize and kind of carry with you in your toolbox so you can use it to help you identify what different people are like and give them what they need in the moment. So let me go over this really quick. So um, orange is the outgoing type that's good with tools, good at, getting things done, extroverted, maybe not be the best in school, but they're really good at like technical stuff and like putting stuff together and things like that. Not the greatest at school, sometimes have ADHD, or like maybe they're just, they got a lot of energy. The types from the from the MBTI that go with orange would be anything that's E or J. So if you have an E and J in your code, then you may be orange. So it's ESTJ, ESFJ, ENFJ, and ENTJ would be orange. Okay, so then greens are like the really intellectual types. They're the kind of people who don't really like to be around people so much. They're more introverted. They don't care what people think about them, unless it's like the person they love or the few people they've decided are important in their life. They're not usually the type to have tons of friends. They'll just have a few close. But they are the kind that are probably going to be like scientists and doctors and stuff like that because they're really smart. A lot of them have trouble with school because they don't like being told what to do and how to do it. They like to do things their own way, almost to a fault. So, like the worst thing you could say to a green would be like, the right way to do this is this way. Greens are like doing things their own way, and they consider themselves, I think, a lot of times more efficient than other colors. So, if you have an I or J in your 4-letter MBTI code, then you might be green. And that would include ISTJ, INFJ, ISFJ, INTJ. Okay, then there's blues. Blues are the feeling people that can kind of tell how you're feeling no matter what. They like stand for the environment and world peace and ending hunger and all those really emotional, topics. And yeah, so blues, if you have an E or a P or EP, then you are probably a blue. So the codes are ESTP, ESFP, ENFP, and ENTP. So then that would make you a blue. Okay, and then for golds are the organized people that are really family oriented, that kind of have to have a routine and do things the same way all the time. So these are going to be IP types. So that would be ISTP, ISFP, INFP, and INTP. Now, I hope that's helpful to you. And I think it's easier for me personally to go around and kind of do things by color than try to be like, okay, he's an ENFP. Because keeping track of all those codes, oh, my head. But if you really are interested in seeing what each code stands for, I did include that in last week's materials. If you didn't take a look at it, you can take a look at it so you can see that. All right, so moving right along. So I want to go over what REASEC is, and that's basically an acronym that stands for realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional, okay? And those are also referred to as the Holland interest environments, okay? So the Holland interest environments are basically a way to kind of narrow down what career would be best for each personality type. And they have it broken down into doers, thinkers, creators, helpers, persuaders, and organizers. And your MBTI code also included that Holland code as well. So you could see whether you're a doer, thinker, creator, helper, or persuader, or organizer. I got persuader on mine. I don't know what you got. But let's go over these. So the first one for REASEC, it's RIASEC. Okay, so for the R stands for realistic. Okay, the codes that are R are going to be ISTP, ESTP, and ISFP. So if any of those are yours, then listen up, because oh man, sorry, I'm trying to log back in because I got logged out. Okay, but I'm back in. All right, so listen up for realistic, okay? So these are people who are conforming, humble, materialistic, practical, and thrifty. Hobbies are things like growing, building things, repairing, and using their hands. Abilities and interests are operating tools, planting, playing sports, and repairing. So some sample careers. Now, I want you to know I'm on page 60 here, and there's some sample careers here. The only thing that isn't provided by the book are the codes that go with this, but I am like trying really hard to make it easy for you. So if you just watch this lecture, you can go to the book and kind of see the careers. They're all listed here that go with each one, but I'm just going to read a couple of the careers for each one because I don't want to sit here and read all of them. All right, so for realistic, we've got automotive mechanic, electrical engineer, police officer, ultrasound technologist, construction worker, and automotive engineer. Okay, then we've got the next one, which is thinkers, and this is investigative. So it's realistic for the R, and then I is investigative, and that's people who like to think. Okay, so the codes that go with this from your MBTI are INTJ, INTP, ENTP, and ENTJ. Okay, these are people who are analytical, curious, independent, methodical, and rational. Hobbies are things like collecting rocks or collecting anything, doing puzzles, participating in book clubs, visiting museums. Abilities and interests are doing complex calculations, interpreting formulas, solving math problems, and using a microscope or scientific instrument. And then here's a couple sample careers. Remember, there's more. You should go look in the book on page 60. Actuary, commercial airline pilot, landscape architect, technical writer, nurse practitioner, geologist. There's a lot on there though, so make sure you read it if you're an investigative person because there's quite a few there. The next one is for creators, and the part of the acronym is R, I, and then this is the A, and it's artistic. Okay, so artistic people, the codes from the MBTI that are artistic are INFP, INFJ, ENFP, that's me, ENFJ, ISFP. Okay, these are people who are complicated, imaginative, impulsive, original, and unordered. That means messy, doesn't it? All right, then we got hobbies, drawing, photography, performing, playing music, sewing, writing, and visiting museums. Abilities and interests, designing fashion or interiors, playing musical instruments, singing, dancing, acting, writing stories, poems, or music. Being creative and unique. Oh gosh, that's so me. All right, some sample careers: actor, dancer, floral designer, librarian, writer, fashion illustrator. Yeah, okay. Next we got for helping people, if you're a helper, the S is social, okay? So we've got so far R is realistic, I investigative, A artistic, S social, okay? The MBTI codes that go with this are ENFP, ENFJ, ESFP, ESFJ, ISFP. That's a lot. Okay, so these people, these social people, are generous, sociable, responsible, idealistic, and friendly. And their hobbies are caring for children, participating in religious activities, playing sports, volunteering. Abilities and interests: expressing oneself, leading a group discussion, mediating disputes, teaching and training others. Sample careers: things like homemaker, college faculty, paralegal, social worker, youth services worker, and real estate appraiser. Sounds good. Okay, next we've got for persuaders, and this is what I got, okay? This is enterprising for the E, okay? So the codes that go with this are ENTJ, ESTJ, ESTP, ESFP, ENFP, and ENFJ. Okay, these are people who are enterprising people, are self-confident, risk-taking, impulsive, and ambitious. Ooh. That does sound like me. All right. Hobbies are campaigning, leading organizations, promoting ideas, starting your own service or business. Yeah. Abilities and interests, initiating projects, leading a group, organizing activities, persuading people, selling things, or promoting ideas. Sample careers, claims adjuster, hotel manager, politician, office manager, buyer. It's funny, I've had a couple of those as my jobs. All right, so next we've got organizers, and the part of the acronym is C, conventional. C, conventional. So the codes that go with this are ISTJ, ISFJ, and ESTJ. These are people, so conventional people are conservative, conscientious, persistent, practical, and structured. So not me. Hobbies are things like arranging and organizing their house. Got a little pop-up here. Hold on, I'll get that out of the way. Collecting memorabilia, playing computer or card games, studying tax laws, and writing family history. Abilities and interests, keeping accurate records, organizing, using a computer, working within a system, and writing. Sample careers are things like accountant, paralegal, travel agent, court reporter. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to go over the whole acronym. So REASEC stands for realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And that's important because we're going to go over that in just a minute. But first, I want to go over the majors that are good for your Holland type. So whichever one of these most matches up with you. And the Holland types, remember, realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, conventional. Once you figure that out from the lecture I'm giving you now, because I just gave you which Holland type you are, okay? You actually are, you have a top 3, okay? And your top 3, any of those careers in your top 3 would work for you, but obviously the ones in your top 1 are going to be the best. But what I want you to look at now is not just what career, but what major would be best for you, or what are you interested in studying? Because what you're interested in studying is a good indication of maybe what sort of career path you want to go on. So you got to think about that too, like what's interesting to you. So there's a list of the different majors by career. My mouth is saying weird things that I'm not trying to say. Okay, let me try again here. Okay, on page 62, there's sample majors related to your Holland type. So not every major is listed here that's related to your Holland type, but this is a general list. If you wanted to get a more in-depth list, then you could go online to, well, I guess in last week's stuff, I actually gave you a quiz, like it was part of, I think, just the Holland types. If you clicked on the Holland types thing, there's like a, it's not an assignment, but you can do this because it's going to help you. If you do that, then this will be a lot easier because it'll give you all of the majors and all of the careers that are related to your Holland type. But if you're kind of like, I don't want to do all that, I think you should if you got time. But if not, then go to page 62 and look up your types and look up the jobs that are in there. So for me, I would look up, because mine are artistic, social, and enterprising. So those 3 are mine. So any of those jobs within those 3 would work for me. Okay. So then we're going to talk about this thing called ACT career clusters, and you'll see there's a list. Okay. There's my lack of organization right there. Okay, so this one right here. And I just want you to see what it looks like. So that basically explains what the ACT career clusters are. And there's a very helpful graph on the next page that will help you to figure out what areas you should be looking into for your careers or for your major. So either way, and this is very helpful. So it looks like this. I'm just going to fold this in like so. And what you'll find is that out here on the outside are those, so here's social service, here's arts, here's science and technology, here's technical, here's business operations, and here's administration and sales. So for me, because my Holland type is artistic, enterprising, and social, so I know that social service is going to match up with the social part. So any of the career clusters in here would work for me. And then I could just look on the past page at the graph, and then I could see what those actually are. I actually have a full list of them as well in Canvas, so for this week, so that way you can kind of see, oh, all right, I need to look more into that. And so for mine, for the social service, it says there's personal service, there's community service, there's education, and there's healthcare. Now, these all match up with they match up with this thing called ONET. Okay, so ONET I think it's onet.org. ONET is actually a place that lists all of the possible careers, or all the careers that exist, and it gives you research information on them. And we're going to be doing a lot of research on our careers, so you're going to be using ONET quite a bit. But when we get to ONET, it'll be cool for you because you'll already know which of these career clusters apply to you. So you'll know which jobs to look at, and it'll be really easy. So I just want you to make a note of that, maybe in your book, maybe in your notes, of which of these career clusters apply to you. Okay, so and look not just in your top one, but in your top three. Okay, next we have, I guess, that a quick guide to choosing a major here on this page. This is page, is that 69? It is. Okay, so page 69. Basically, you'll see here there's actually 3 different types of majors that exist, and they are listed here. So there's science technology, there's business, accounting, finance, economics, and marketing, and there's liberal arts. And then all of the majors for each one are listed beneath them, and that might really help you.